Hello and welcome to Movie Film Studios, the only podcast that takes you inside the mind of two film studio executives as we unravel, then re-ravel the best that Hollywood has to offer. I'm Isaac.
And I'm AJ, and this week we and our merry men robbed from a mummy blogger and gave to an undercover baseball player. But before we get into something new, it's time for something old as we check in on our last feature in Box Office Report. Last week we released the Russian-themed, the checker-playing grizzly bear film, Shashki Medved.
Shashki Medved
loosely stands for Checkers Bear, according to Google Translate.
We think. No Russians got in contact with us this week about the translation of the film. They did get us get in contact with us this week in regards to the content of the film.
Really?
Strangely enough, you know how China has rules where any panda anywhere in the world belongs to China.
Yep.
Doesn't matter if it was two pandas in Australia that had a panda baby.
Yep.
That panda baby, although born in Australia, is technically property of the China, and you have to pay licensing just to have that animal in your country.
Yep.
Turns out it's the same with Russian folk stories.
Really?
Which is why there's not a lot of westernized Russian folk stories or at all. Because any folk story that travels outside of the Russia is still the property of Russia.
Right.
And you have to pay property rights to it.
Okay, so this is why, maybe that's why the YouTube video is so popular, because it's the only exposure to Russian folktales that the world can get, and that was Masha and the Bear.
Masha and the Bear. So what's really weird now as well is that all of the content that we generated, Vladimir called us up, and he's just like, we need it all back. And we're like, okay. So now the highest rated video on Russian YouTube is the ensemble cast doing a cover of Smash Mouth's cover of All Star, which is a cover of the Neil Diamond song done by the Monkees. Anyway, they've now got 6 billion views. We've actually earned enough revenue just from that cover music video.
Oh, brilliant.
To afford the licensing fees that we've had to pay the Russian government for stealing their folktales.
Has old Vladdy, has he got a direct line to Movie Film Studios now?
Yes, yeah. Right, okay. I mean, we had to set it up. The amount of complaint calls we were getting from world leaders was just sort of getting to the point where we had to set up a designated line for that. So.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. So that's all that remains of our film is just that music video.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, again, only available on the Russian YouTube.
On the Russian YouTube.
You have to VPN in, otherwise they'll IP block you.
Right, okay.
And yeah, so, I mean, it's a bit weird. Apparently there is even a Russian folklore tale about foreigners trying to steal their folklore tales. So we can't even release like a documentary making of.
Oh, man.
Because technically that is also stealing the Russian folklore tales.
Right, okay. So we are we rolling in, is it do they still use rubles?
Rubles?
Rubles over there in Russia? Are we rolling in rubles?
No, I mean, everything that was generated has gone back into the Russian government.
It's gone back into the Russian.
I mean, we are net neutral. So overall, we've broken even.
Okay.
Taylor Swift and Justin Bieber and Ed Sheeran are now contractually obliged to perform at several Russian sporting events. That's their penance. But we are officially, like, if the last week had not happened at all, it would have been exactly the same financially for us. So.
Well, that's fine. I mean, that's a win in our books, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of our films don't make any money at all. They lose quite a lot, but breaking even, perfect. All you comrades over in Russia, enjoy our music video.
And I mean, they still also get to technically watch Shashki Medved.
Okay.
I mean, because it's now owned by the Russian government.
Okay.
And
it's probably going to be propaganda very soon.
It's on Vladimir's own sort of personal version of Netflix, which, I mean, the entire population of Russia has access to, so they can enjoy that one as well.
Okay, brilliant. Enjoy it. Okay, on to this week in trailers. Interesting mix this week, but first up on the list, we have The Catcher Was a Spy, starring Paul Rudd, Jeff Daniels, and a whole bunch of other... It's an ensemble cast, this one. Written by the Academy Award-winning writer of Saving Private Ryan. And it does have a bit of that kind of flavor to it. It seems to be about, based on a true story, an American baseball player who is secretly contracted by the American government to act as a spy.
During World War II.
During World War II,
I'm not sure if the Germans were heaps into baseball and they were doing exhibition games.
Who knows?
I think he was just an impressive... he's an athlete. He already spoke
seven languages. Yeah.
They just went, "You, sir, what it's the right stuff," as they say, to actually infiltrate and actually turn the tide of this war. And then the trailer's pretty much just long shots of Jeff Daniels being the commanding officer, just explaining how important the mission is to him in long wooden corridors filled with bookshelves, with their hair neatly parted to the side, in their crisp American World War II uniforms.
Indeed.
And then it's interspersed with shots of Paul Rudd actually on mission, and he's in a inflatable boat at night trying to sneak up through the river. He's in a car in Germany and he's surrounded by enemies. He's playing chess with Mark Strong, and Mark Strong turns to him and says, "Your move." And I'm like, that's very intense. The film.
Yeah.
Spielberg did Bridge of Spies recently.
And Saving Private Ryan.
Exactly. It's a World War II period piece film.
It's notable because Paul Rudd is in the lead, and this isn't a comedy.
Not
obviously.
In any way.
There is no levity that we saw in the trailer, and it's obviously the start of Paul Rudd's dramatic turn into more serious fare. Leaving behind the Anchormans of the world and the other Ant-Man as well.
Yeah, I Love You Mans.
Yeah, sure. Has he only done man films?
Probably, as it turns out.
Okay. It's the film you've seen probably a whole bunch of times. So if you have any love for Paul Rudd and want to see him not making you laugh, then go see this film or any other film which if you don't like him very much.
The other thing which is interesting to point out with this one, a lot of dudes in this film.
So many dudes.
So, you've got, as we said, Paul Rudd and Jeff Daniels. Also, Paul Giamatti, Guy Pearce, Mark Strong.
Yep.
I think Sienna Miller sort of slips in there.
Tom Wilkinson's also in
there.
But yeah,
Tom Wilkinson. It's just like, you look at it's where are the female roles in this film?
Yeah.
And it's just like, there's not any.
Yeah. It's a bit weird, I guess. But hey, 1950s America. 1940s America.
Sure.
There we go.
There you go.
Okay.
All right.
Trailer number 2. Let's go look at another film full of white dudes in Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Only with a slight difference this time because this one actually features Jamie Foxx as well. So this is a bit of a reimagining, I guess, of the classic folk tale of Robin Hood, who, of course, steals from the Sheriff of Nottingham and gives to the poor, I guess.
That's, the basic plot of it, sure.
Yeah, but this particular version of the film is sort of by way of Guy Ritchie and his Sherlock Holmes films. Yeah. Very, high-octane, insane stunts, insane action, stuff flying at you through the screen, some kung fu in there, because why not? A lot of these, shots of what I thought were actually guns, and I was very confused initially as to what period this film was in, but it's all this really high-tech looking crossbows that are sort of reloaded in the same way that you might load an assault rifle.
Yeah.
This looks rubbish. I have to say, it looks utterly terrible.
Zack Snyder got his hand on it at some point as well.
Yep.
It's got sort of that capoeira style, twisting and backflip while shooting bows and arrows.
Yep.
I know,
slow motion,
real close-up angles of grenades as they're being launched at you.
Yep.
There's a whole bunch of these films that have been done recently. So, Three Musketeers, they did a 3D version of Three Musketeers.
That was, I think that was Roland Emmerich too.
Possibly.
I think he was involved in it.
They did the Guy Ritchie King Arthur.
Yep.
They did Pompeii.
Yeah.
And it feels like these absolutely graphic spectacle films trying to tell these classic stories, but in this modern actiony kind of way, and it feels horrible. This actually does. It's got the main Robin Hood is the guy who played the main role in Kingsman.
Yes, Taron Egerton or Egerton, one of the two. And
it kind of feels a bit like bad action, like Kingsman 2 in lots of ways as well.
This is it's the kind of film that it's the comic book. It's given the comic book treatment.
Exactly.
Actually, in the same way that a comic book might be illustrated, but also in the same way that most comic book films are going.
Exactly.
So very Deadpool-esque, a little bit of winking at the... I'm pretty sure Taron Egerton is playing Robin Hood, and he does wink almost directly at the camera at one point during the trailer. And of course, at the end, the trailer ends with a CGI arrow coming towards the screen, like as if we've fired it at the logo of Robin Hood as well. Look, don't see this.
They've done the Robin Hood story a number of times. There's the what's his name, Russell Crowe, and Ridley Scott did one, which wasn't very good. The Robin Hood Prince of Thieves with Morgan Freeman and Kevin Costner is such a good film. And you know what the mark of a really good film is?
What?
Is when the parody film is fantastic. Because Robin Hood Men in Tights is also a phenomenal film.
Astoundingly good.
And it's kind of like, so Jamie Foxx is playing Morgan Freeman / Dave Chappelle, like that sort of character in this film. And it's kind of like, oh, it's just weird that he's in that role.
It's a little weird, yeah.
The other really weird one here is Australian musical comedian Tim Minchin.
Tim Minchin's in there playing Friar Tuck.
Because you see a very brief glimpse of him, and it's just like, oh, that guy looks like Tim Minchin. And I was like, that can't possibly be Tim Minchin. Tim Minchin's not an actor. What would he be doing in... No, apparently he's in this film.
He's in this film. He's like a musical director now. He writes musicals.
Yeah, he wrote them stage Matilda.
Yeah.
Very clever lyrics.
Very prolific. And, funny in his own right, but... Does he belong in this film? I don't think so.
He's more out of place than Jamie Foxx playing like I don't even remember where the Crusades were. Middle Eastern, Assyrian. Sure, is Assyrian probably the right thing? I think that's a bit more
Persian.
Yeah, Persian maybe. Who knows?
Is it? Is he playing the Jack Johnson role? Is he just there for levity?
Tim Minchin or Jamie Foxx?
Tim Minchin. But I mean, in a film that seems to be based entirely around levity, maybe he is the ultimate levity.
Exactly. Maybe Friar Tuck is somewhat musical in this version of the story, and he's going to crack out the harpsichord and do some.
Maybe this is the next
songs.
Men in Tights. So we watched another film, another trailer, which we're not going to talk about today, but it mentioned that it was this year's The Hurt Locker.
Oh, yeah.
As if, every year we're waiting for the next Hurt Locker to come along.
There was a Hurt Locker in 2016 and 2015. I don't really remember what those films were, but it's like, oh, no, this one's this year's Hurt Locker. Yeah, that's
right. So is this year's Men in Tights, perhaps?
I don't know. I think it is this year's King Arthur / this year's Three Musketeers.
It absolutely is.
I'm not sure what other Middle English story there is that they could make a really bad over CG, over actionified version of.
No. Well, let's hope they don't do any more. All right, let's round out this week's trailers with a turn down the more mystery thriller route with A Simple Favor or
What Happens to Emily.
That's the one.
Well, I could have sworn that was the name of the film because there's all these sort of like in the trailer itself, these photographs that are sort of coalescing and they fall on the ground and they form a question mark.
Yep.
And then the title comes up, What Happens to Emily? I'm like, oh, so that's the name of the film. And then that fades and it goes, A Simple Favor. I'm like, which one is the name of the film? And then it fades out again, and then you have all the hashtags that are called and it's A Simple Favor.
Simple Favor, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so it's called A Simple Favor. And then for the rest of the time we're talking about it before recording, I couldn't stop referring it to What Happened to Emily.
Yeah. So this film seems to be in a similar vein to Gone Girl, that kind of someone has gone missing and there's a bit of a mystery as to why they've gone missing or where they've gone. Cue this sort of distrusting of people, cue the lone witness who saw one thing and therefore has all the answers and decides to unravel the mystery herself. And that is Anna Kendrick this go around. This is also based on a book as well.
Not a lot happens in this trailer, so it's really weird. It sort of starts off, Anna Kendrick is admiring Blake Lively, who plays the woman who goes missing, her lifestyle, how she's so elegant, how her husband / lover is attractive, and they seem to have it all going on. You see Anna Kendrick walking through her walk-in wardrobe, brushing her hands against the rich and opulent clothes. You see Blake Lively drinking martinis in her open plan house that backs onto a lake.
Yep.
And Anna Kendrick's like, I want your life. And at that moment, I think I said it's the talented Mrs. Ripley, as if it's like going to be, Anna Kendrick does it to try and take over. And then it actually takes a twist of being like some sort of murder mystery mystery. She disappears.
Yeah.
But the trailer tells you nothing.
This is the kind of trailer where if you'd replaced all the moving footage with photographs and then applied the Ken Burns effect to them so that you slowly fade into them, you would have had the exact same amount of content because nothing happens in it. Now, I'm assuming that for people that have read this book, which according to reviewers is like Gone Girl on steroids because...
Gone Girl, Gone Nuclear, I think is another review.
Gone Girl, Gone Wild.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that if you've read that book or if you're a fan of that book, you'll probably understand some of the context behind it. But for anyone else that doesn't like jumping onto a bandwagon just because one book did all right, it's a complete mystery as to what this film is about. Who knows?
Having said that, it is a complete counterbalance to The Catcher Was a Spy, where the only two relevant roles in this seem to be female roles, whereas, and you know, there's only two of them, whereas in the other one, all of the roles seem to be played by men. So, again, there's nothing to go off in the trailer to actually base.
Sure, but it's a mystery of some kind. Someone's missing, and someone knows something about it. There we go. That's about it. It'd
be a bit of a boring film if someone went missing and no one knew anything about it. Oh, she just went missing.
Yeah, Anna Kendrick's like, I have no idea.
No one knows.
I've never met her before in my life. Roll credits. All right, those are the 3 trailers for this week's episode. But of course, before we do anything with any of those trailers, we're going to have to take a little walk over to somewhere green.
Let's go.
All right, here we are in the green room.
Yes, indeed. I believe you chose last week.
I did.
To make a film based on a Pepsi commercial.
Yes, I did.
And so this week, it's my choice.
Yes,
just
indeed.
As a bit of a recap of the 3 options that we have, we have a World War II historical spy thriller.
Yep.
We have a modern action retelling of a classic piece of folklore.
Folklore, yep.
And then we have a murder thriller. A murder thriller, sure, why not?
Sure, yeah.
Mystery murder, someone's
murder
missing.
thriller based on a contemporary book.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I'm not sure we can get the rights for a book. This is such a tough one.
It is.
I think that all 3 are just so perfect to be movie film studioized.
Indeed.
But I think I'm going to go in a way that we haven't really gone before.
Okay.
And I reckon we should take a simple favor.
Yep.
And do a all-female cast murder mystery, put the pieces together.
Yep.
Gone Girl on crack with a button over a nuclear bomb as an asteroid heads towards Earth and we all sucked into a black hole.
All right.
It's going to be that intense.
Okay, so I think I like this because the Gone Girl kind of template always deals with like a small town somebody who either has a bit of an opulent life but is otherwise relatively unknown. And the situation is that that person has gone missing and the circumstances are always very isolated. They're always very like close-knit. We need to go the opposite direction and go with the whole Gone Girl on crack cocaine kind of method and make the stakes huge.
All right.
Absolutely huge. Now, you mentioned nuclear war, right? Or you mentioned something about nuclear fallout or whatever. So what if the stakes are the person that's gone missing has the codes to the nukes and the nukes have been like launched and the codes are the only thing that will stop them now. But the person that has the codes has gone missing.
You know what you've just done?
What have I done?
You have introduced the elements that we would probably have done from The Catcher Was a Spy.
Yeah.
So are we doing simultaneous films? It is.
You know what?
It
Why
is
not?
simultaneously a World War II
let's do,
thriller.
Yeah, historical thriller. No, let's do it in the Cold War instead.
Cold War.
We haven't been down there for a little while, and we
not
do
since
love
Tequila Goals.
We do love a refreshing war. So Cold War. We assume that John F. Kennedy's kind of the face of US politics, but underneath it all, it's actually a ragtag group of women who run everything. Like they're kind of like the Illuminati of the day, basically.
Yep, sure.
One of them has the nukes, the codes for the nukes.
The codes for the nukes.
Now, our buddy JFK launched them accidentally. Like, this is we'll set it during the Cuban Missile Crisis, right?
Yeah, sure.
So I believe that the crux of that was that, like, the world was, like, teetering on the edge of nuclear war.
Yeah, I mean, we could probably find out actually what happened through like history books and stuff, but that's just a little bit too much effort for us.
That's fine. We're going to do alternate history, so that means it doesn't matter. We just need one or two facts. We just need a tiny bit of like archival footage, which will then comp in our actors into it to make it look authentic, like that. Forrest Gump style.
I was about to say, I was watching clips from Forrest Gump on YouTube recently. They did a really good job of that. Like back in '94 or whenever it came out. And I was like, hey, like actually putting these characters into archival footage works really well.
We haven't had a film that sort of recanonizes various events in history for quite a long time. Yeah. So retrofit rather. So I think we should do that, right? So we take a little bit of archival footage during the Cuban Missile Crisis, slot in whoever our actresses are going to be during this crisis, say that the nukes were launched, unbeknownst to the world, but the one person that has the codes to disable them goes missing. So it's a race against time. Of course, because it's the 1960s, the nukes are really slow.
Yeah, they probably take a couple of days. A couple of days to get anywhere.
That's right, yeah.
And like the radar's not good enough that people can't detect them coming.
Exactly.
So really, it's just like, we've got like 4 days to solve this crime before they hit Russia, I think, Cold War. Why not?
Absolutely.
USSR, I suppose, at that point. They're heading towards Moscow. Yep. And like, I mean, it doesn't even need to be alternate history, right?
No.
This can be declassified history.
Yeah, even better.
In a way where we know that it probably all turns out all right because the missiles didn't hit Moscow and kill everyone. Yeah. And instead were like launched and went into the Arctic underneath the, in the...
You know what's good about this as well? We can have based on a true story in the trailer.
Because like the Cold War is a true story, and we're basing it on that.
Absolutely. I wonder how much, like, what's the percentage of a story that has to be true for you to say based on a true story?
I'm not sure anyone's counting. I think, isn't it Fargo was like a two-line story in a newspaper, and they say that's based on a true story.
Right.
The names and characters, like no, like people found the article. It was like man disposes of body in wood chipper, and that's all that it said.
Yeah, but see, I mean, like at least that is a focal point of Fargo as well. Like it's sort of one of the most iconic images from that film. But I'm thinking of something like X-Men: Days of Future Past, which has Richard Nixon in it.
Oh,
like,
right.
Purely by the fact that Richard Nixon is in that film, can you say based on a true story?
Yeah.
Why not?
But can you also say that none of the characters in these films are based on anyone living or dead? I'm like, yes, it is. It looks like Richard Nixon, and you called him Richard Nixon. It is quite clearly based on someone living or dead.
Yeah, it's not purely coincidental.
It is not coincidental at all. Oh, it's really weird. We were just picking names out of a hat, a random name generator, and the guy that was supposed to be playing the president, they said his name was Richard Nixon.
That's right. And when we went to cast this actor, again, random face generator, we just typed into IMDb some actor's name, and look, he looks exactly
big bulbous nose.
That's right. Yeah.
I don't actually. That's my Winston Churchill.
Anyway, so back to our story. So, Cuban Missile Crisis is the 1960s. JFK is in charge, but underneath there's a secret cabal of women who basically run the world.
Yeah.
JFK accidentally launches the nukes.
Because he's too busy womanizing.
Absolutely.
Stupid man.
So the nukes are on the way to Russia. They're a bit slow, so they'll take 4 days to get there. The person who has the code to disable or to divert those missiles has gone missing.
Right. And I think that person is played by Michelle Pfeiffer.
Okay.
And she's the head of this spy network.
Great. Now, I think one of the tropes of these kind of films is the person that's gone missing also has some kind of shady past. So everything seems fine on the surface.
The surface is all chic, nightgowns, nice gowns, martinis, lavish parties.
Yep.
But as soon as it starts unraveling, they find her diary.
Yeah.
And her diary is like, part of this is written in Russian.
Yeah. Oh, so is she a Russian sleeper agent?
They don't know because Google Translate doesn't exist to turn the Russian into English for them.
Yeah, or does it? Maybe it does in our secret cabal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. And then, the only person that they can get to translate is a prisoner of war that they've caught, a spy.
Yeah. Yep.
They're the only person who speaks Russian.
Yep.
But, can they trust what this person is translating for them?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Who knows?
Played by Aubrey Plaza.
Okay.
I like this casting as we go. I'm getting people
I like
sort of
this. Yep.
And so Aubrey Plaza is the spy
is
that
the Russian
caught,
spy,
and they don't know if they can even trust the translation of the diary.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I like this. Now we also need I think we need sort of the good, not the good one, but the one that we kind of follow as the protagonist, the one that's sort of like, I really had nothing to do with this, but I saw something, and therefore now I'm in over my head.
Yeah.
We need that kind of character who's maybe like more of a lowly member of the cabal or the Illuminati. Someone who's just, maybe it's like the janitor or something.
Yeah, not janitor, but she's definitely got a role as like, maybe like a junior code breaker. She's an associate. And maybe she's Michelle Pfeiffer's like assistant.
Okay,
and
that's a good idea.
And so when she goes missing, the focal point of the story is done through her.
Played by Emma Watson.
Emma Watson, I like it. I was going to say Carey Mulligan. I reckon she's got to be in this film as well.
Okay.
I don't think we've casted her. And
we haven't cast her in anything, no.
So she can play the one of the roles. Did she do it? Did Carey Mulligan do it?
Maybe. Is that so? Do we go for like the twist at the end? This character that we thought was young, wholesome, and good is actually the one that did it.
I don't know. I thought is Emma Watson not our young, wholesome, and good person?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, we're going to have both. I actually would like Emma Watson to be the murderer. That'd be really cool.
Okay.
Like, because everyone's like, but you were Hermione and you were Beauty and the Beast and you're so... And she's like, no, I can kill Russian spy people too.
Well, hang on. So we need to figure out why she would kill Michelle Pfeiffer's character then.
Yeah. Because either she's a Russian spy or Michelle Pfeiffer was a Russian spy.
So maybe Emma Watson planted the diary in Michelle Pfeiffer's like office to throw the scent, right? So like Michelle Pfeiffer goes missing with the codes. Everyone suspects that she is a Russian, which would kickstart the Cold War and turn it into quite a toasty war.
Yeah.
But really, it's Emma Watson trying to like cover her tracks.
Yeah.
By putting a false diary in her office.
Yeah. And then...
okay. And like Carey Mulligan's character suspects it because she knows what Michelle Pfeiffer's handwriting looks like.
Exactly.
So she's like, this isn't quite right. And she's doing like that, you do like a close-up of the handwriting, do a bit of analysis.
Yeah.
And she's comparing it to like a personal note that she might have received from her at one point. And she's like, the loops on the G don't align.
Yeah.
They're not the same.
And then all of a sudden, Drew Barrymore turns up dead.
Like, she turns up dead.
She turns up dead.
Right.
And just like, I didn't even realize you were a character in this film. And then suddenly you're a murder victim.
Yep.
Who killed her? Well, this time it was Carey Mulligan. Emma Watson didn't kill... Like, you think it's going to be the same person who killed them.
Hang on a sec.
But Carey Mulligan killed this one.
So did Carey Mulligan kill her because she suspected Drew Barrymore?
No, for completely...
completely unrelated reasons. Okay.
It was a Ponzi scheme she got sucked into and lost all her money and she got angry. And then Carey Mulligan tries to pass off that murder.
All right, great.
As being by the same
But
people.
I reckon that the reason why Drew Barrymore got into the Ponzi scheme is because she killed someone as well and she needed the money to escape.
Yes.
So Drew Barrymore...
She killed Helen Mirren.
Exactly, yeah.
Exactly. So, so Helen Mirren's body just washes up about 3/4 of the way through the film.
Yep.
And it's just like, Helen Mirren's in this as well. Apparently not acting at all because all of these phenomenal female actresses just show up
dead
with no actual meaty roles to play.
Yep.
And as well as being a commentary on the Cold War, it's also a commentary on the current state of Hollywood. It's like, what's the point of putting female people in this film if they don't actually get a chance to play a good role?
Exactly. Okay, great. So the body count is stacking up here.
It is.
Now, so Helen Mirren's dead. Now, is there any reason why Drew Barrymore killed her?
I think she was planning on cutting Drew Barrymore out of the Ponzi scheme, the pyramid scheme. And so they had a falling out and she whacked her over the head.
Okay, so they're both in the Ponzi scheme. Okay, we need a reason why they're in the Ponzi scheme then. They're
trying to capitalize on the fear of the Cold War and monetize it to use it for their own monetary
So maybe
gain.
like an insurance trading scheme or something based on shorting the stocks of some...
Yeah, shorting the stocks of... what's made in Moscow because they're like pretty sure that Moscow vodka exactly.
Okay,
they're playing the old vodka. They're
vodka syndicates,
insider trading.
Yeah, okay.
And Helen Mirren is not having any of it, and neither is Helena Bonham Carter.
So she's in it too.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Is that the triangle right there? Helena, Helen, and Drew.
Yeah. They're all trying to profiteer.
Yep.
Whilst Michelle Pfeiffer is or maybe isn't trying to stop the nuclear war.
Yep.
And Emma Watson's trying to learn about the craft of controlling world politics.
Yep.
And all the while, you just know Carey Mulligan's like gunning for the job, and they capture and imprison Aubrey Plaza.
Yep.
And there's a whole lot
so
of
much going on.
And there's so many murders.
Yeah.
And when
Zoe Saldana.
Yeah, she just dies of a heart attack, and everyone thinks that she was murdered.
Yep.
But as it turns out, the coroner's just like,
pure
no, it's
natural
just
death.
just through a clot, and it's like, was it like some sort of Russian secret made drug? No, it's just sort of happened.
Just happened. Yeah. All right. Great. I like this. Now, I think for the Cabal, this Illuminati, there does need to be a kind of like high table, round table, the sort of creme de la creme of the undercover world, right? So who are we going to have in there? So they should be the ones that are sort of like overseeing the world. They're always like seated in front of a very large bank of computers and looking at like various situations going on in the world and so on and so forth. So it's got to be Beyonce.
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely in there.
I think she has to be the head honcho. I mean, there's been so many rumors about her being in the Illuminati. We might as well just cast her as the head of the Illuminati in the 1960s. I think there should be probably about 3. I reckon. Should be like the head and then the 2 like side ranking officials. I don't know the 2 IC and the 3 IC. So we've got Beyonce as in charge. 2 IC will be, I want to say Lupita Nyong'o. I can't really pronounce her name.
Yep.
And number 3 is Rachel Weisz.
Yep. Sure.
There we go.
And when they show up dead halfway through the film, because their secret quarters has been pumped full of gas, people are like, there's just too many murders to solve. This is like murder number 8, 9, and 10.
Yep.
How are we? I'm like, who's taking all the?
Yep. So hang on, is it going to emerge that there's going to be one left? I mean,
exactly.
So Carey Mulligan, we thought was our wholesome protagonist, is a murderer as well.
Yeah.
So I think one person needs to emerge victorious at the end to sort of like find, like, okay, so let's say that at the end, pretty much the entire Illuminati is dead at this point. Because they've all been murdered. They've all either been murdered, died of natural causes, or eliminated by someone else.
Yeah.
So there's one left. She manages to find the body of Michelle Pfeiffer, and inside Michelle Pfeiffer's breast pocket, she's got the codes in there.
Yeah.
So it's like that last desperate attempt. It's like 5 seconds until impact. 5 seconds till impact. And she's got her like briefcase laptop with her, which is quite heavy and large and full of complicated old-fashioned hardware.
Yeah.
And she's able to type that code into the computer at the last second. 5 seconds to go to impact. The missiles suddenly like U-turn and go back the other way and, I don't know, collapse into the ocean.
Yeah, into the ocean. And then it turns out Aubrey Plaza wasn't Russian at all.
Really?
Didn't even speak Russian the whole time. She was secretly working for the American government.
Yep.
Because they like, if we imprison you and you pretend to be a Russian spy, then people will come to you for advice, a la Hannibal Lecter.
Ooh.
And then you can give them the wrong advice because they're all bad. They're all going to kill each other and they're all going to die. And then at the last moment, you can step in and save it. So like all of her Russian translations all the way through the film were all completely wrong. And that means we don't have to learn Russian at all. We can just sort of like make it up as we go because that's what the character's doing.
So Aubrey Plaza turns out to be the unlikely hero of the film.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I like that. That works. That's a huge cast as well.
Yeah.
And there's we only need one male actor to play. No, we don't even need that. We just need archival
footage. Exactly. No male actors.
Yep.
No male gaffers. The best boy, not even a boy.
Yep.
Directors, sound studios. It's in fact, I'm going to have to wash my hands of this right now.
I think so too. I actually know who should direct this as well. We discussed The Hurt Locker earlier.
Kathryn Bigelow.
We're going to have to get Kathryn Bigelow to direct this. This feels like it could be.
I think actually we probably need to bring some writers on board as well.
Probably,
and just say like right now we're done.
Yep.
That's it. You can take this. And knowing knowing what they'll do, they'll probably actually make a decent film out of it. It's like, what happened to all the brutalization and murdering of women? It's like, that's not really how we feel they should be depicted on screen.
No.
I think, far too many films depict that women seem to be all the ways the victims, all the ones who are getting killed. I'm like, but you took out all of the murder. And it's like, we did. And it's just like an actually good film about
That's right.
historically accurate female role within the Cold War.
This would actually win Academy Awards.
So that's exactly. You know what we want to do if we want to win an Academy Award is just like to get our fingerprints all of the film and make sure like no one has any inclination that
literally just give it to someone talented.
Yeah.
All right. Great. All right, we do need one more thing for this film.
We need a title.
That is a title, yes. So we're dealing with secret societies, Illuminati. We're dealing with the Cold War, 1960s, Russian influence. Wow, this is the second week we've done Russian influences.
Yeah.
No collusion here, don't worry.
Definitely not taking bribes.
So, we've got a bit of a mystery. We've got a thriller. We've got gratuitous deaths. We have an ensemble cast. We have a lot of, what I suppose pop culture has deemed to be queens as well. I'm thinking about Beyonce in particular.
Yeah.
The King of Queens.
The King of Queens. Kevin James will not be happy about that.
No. Cold
Shoulder.
Ooh.
It's got.
No, there's something about the Cold War and the cold body of a corpse.
Yeah. Cold Secrets.
Cold Secrets. Yeah. The Secret Lives of War.
I mean, the Catcher was a spy. Was a pretty, a long-winded bridge of spies.
Yep.
Does it have to have the word spy in it? Is that mandatory nowadays? Or
yeah. What's that other film that has a spy in it with Gary Oldman? Does that have
Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy? Melissa McCarthy was in a film called Spy. The Spy Who Knew Too Much, and the Spy. No, it's The Man Who Knew Too Much. Spies Like Us.
Yep.
So I think
The Spy Who Loved Me.
Exactly. I mean, if you want to make sure that people know it's a spy film, even though it's supposed to be a Gone Girl style film, we have to have the word spy in it. Yep. And apparently, what is Gone Girl sort of like? I think girl, like the girl on the train.
Yep.
Gone Girl. So Spy Girl.
Spy Girl.
Now it's just sounding like a Spy Girl and Lava Boy. So we have to have the word cold in there as well. Okay, let's just throw the ingredients in and see what comes out the other side. Yep. We have to have the word girl.
Yep.
We have to have the word spy.
Yep.
And we have to have something that's cold. Cold or ice.
Yep. Frozen.
Is there any other words in there that sort of come up in a mystery thriller?
I feel like the Frozen Spy kind of works.
Frozen Spy Girl?
Yeah.
You're missing girl.
The Frozen Spy Girl. Because
the Frozen Spy Girl?
Yeah. Because you can have those really gritty, intense posters where it's just a picture or an image of Michelle Pfeiffer's
cold
body.
Cold Girl Spy?
Cold Girl Spy?
Spy Girl Cold.
Chilly.
That just sounds like she's unwell. Oh, she's got a Spy Girl Cold. All right, so that's not the order. Cold Girl Spy. Hang on. How many? There's 8 permutations of those 3 words, right? Yep. Theoretically. Yep. So Cold Girl Spy. Yep. Cold Spy Girl. Girl Spy Cold. Maybe it's just all of them. It's all.
Well, maybe it's just maybe it's girl full stop, spy full stop, cold full stop.
Yeah, that's it.
Almost like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, but instead of it being one sentence, it's individual words.
So, which order did you put them in, or do you not remember?
I don't
Girl, stop, spy, stop, cold, stop.
And we just need the stops in there because it's like a telegram.
Exactly.
Perfect.
It's maybe that's the plot of the film. That's the only message. Something's come on through the telegram. It's like, girl, stop, spy, stop, cold, stop. And that's the only clue that they've got, and that's what we call the film.
That's it. Perfect.
I like it.
Absolutely perfect. All right. Fantastic. I think, is that a wrap?
That is
a wrap on Cold
Girl, stop. Cold, stop. No, spy? Cold was last. I don't remember. I don't think it matters.
No, it doesn't. All right, I think that is a wrap. Housekeeping, as per usual. We are online. We are moviefilmstudios.net, where you can find all of our previous episodes, some bios of us, and of course, Mfwuzawudada, which is a database of every single film that we've released on this podcast. Join us on our Facebook page, search for Movie Film Studios, and join the community there, where Isaac posts emoji clues as to the trailers that we've watched in the upcoming episode.
I think as an additional to the emoji clues that I do, I'm also going to do a Google Translate every week.
Yeah.
Picking a random language and translating that film's name into that language.
Yeah.
If you can guess what language it is, you can probably reverse engineer it. Sometimes you may get it, may not even be able to guess what language it is.
Yep.
So I mean, some weeks there's just complicated film titles that I just cannot do, and Google Translate offers me an out, which I'm going to take.
And if you listen to last week's episode as well, we did actually post a very, very big clue as to how we choose our trailers as well. I'm not going to tell you this week because I want you to go and listen to it, but you'll find it very easy after that if you do listen to that episode. We are on Twitter as well, don't even bother, and we're on iTunes, Podbean, and any other place that you get podcasts.
I think that's it this week.
That is indeed.
All that remains is to thank you all for listening. I've been Isaac.
And I've been AJ.
Roll credits.